What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a Hasbro Star Wars Vintage Collection Market Update. Welcome back to the channel. Happy holidays to everybody. I hope that everyone is doing well. Before I begin, I want to say thank you to two new Patreon supporters, Charles and Darth Outlaw. Thank you guys so much for joining the Patreon ranks, and it really does help out the channel quite a bit. It helps pay for a lot of the subscriber giveaways. It helps pay for a lot of the software that I use, and the editing software and the thumbnail creation and all that good stuff. And it helps pay for shipping for all the giveaways. So I really appreciate it. I've got at least 2 or 3 other items that I have sitting behind me that I'm going to give away on my channel at some point very soon. I've got a Lily Letty Logray, and I've got another Power of the Force coin. I'm sure I can dig up a few more items for giveaways here, so stay tuned for those. Let's dig into the Vintage Collection Market Update, and I've been kind of like lacking really interesting sales for the last couple weeks, in my opinion. And then this week happened, and there was like so much cool stuff that I had to actually cut it down. Just a heads up, this is going to be a long video. I've got a bunch, but anyway, this seller, New and Used Games, had some really beautiful foil card backs. The Ultimate Galactic Hunt early issue the foil card backs that, you know, almost always came punched, or I think they all came punched if memory serves. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen any unpunched examples of these Ultimate Galactic Hunt foil card backs, but he had some that were in amazing condition, and this is one I was watching pretty closely. I wanted to bid on so much stuff, I really did, but I can't believe I made it through this weekend without buying anything. It was just a wall of awesome items, both vintage and vintage collection. But this Boba Fett was in great shape. It had the Boba Fett offer. This is one I'd like to get in my collection. It only sold for $105. $105. I thought that was a great price, and I think the theme is, for the most part, vintage collection continues to be pretty soft in terms of sales prices. There were some graded items, including some from this same seller that we're going to go over in a little bit. And the graded prices were insane. They were completely insane. I don't know what happened there, but the graded vintage collection items, not all of them, but a lot of them were pretty high, were pretty ridiculous. But I felt like the ungraded were actually some pretty good deals here, and I thought that Boba Fett was a great deal for considering how beautiful condition that was in. He also had this Anakin Skywalker. That one sold for $120.50, VC13. I thought that was a fantastic deal as well. Really, I mean, look at how beautiful these card backs are. This one had a little bit of crease in the back, so I take that one back about this one. But he had a number that were just gorgeous. This one sold for $49. I mean, that was just a steal, in my opinion. And, you know, again, to kind of harken back to a previous video, I'm trying to include, you know, a pretty wide range of condition. This one had some scratches on the back near the hang tab. That's probably just from, you know, hanging in the store shelves. But still, $49 for that is a fantastic deal. This is the one I really wanted. I've got this one on my list for next year, and that's General Grievous. It had some light edge wear and things like that, but this was a beautiful foil example of the General Grievous. Pretty awesome condition overall. Just some light edge wear. It's probably like an 85 or an 85 plus. I'd say 85. But for $128.50, I would have paid that all day long. I mean, it was really hard not bidding on some of this stuff. It had a little tiny indentation right there, as you can see on the right-hand side, but really, really pretty card back. So, and then I think the last one that this same seller had was this Magna Guard on the full card bag. That's another one I'd like to pick up, but lower priority relative to some of the other big names that are out there. But that one sold for $89. I mean, all of those I think were really great prices for the Ultimate Galactic Hunt full cards. I've only got a few of those. This one was interesting. I hadn't, and maybe it's just because I'm not as tuned in to the different European stickers that were available for the early vintage collection, but this was a Cathaba U.S. card back. You know, it had the brown bandana with the Darth Maul sticker, but on the back it had a fairly interesting sticker that, to me, it looks like it's got Italian and German, English, obviously. There's probably another language in there somewhere, but, you know, I hadn't seen this kind of sticker before on the early TVC. And maybe this was kind of, you know, this is VC56, so maybe they changed over to, and I'll show you an example a little bit later on, of VC113, the Eurozone Republic Commando Expanded Universe. That one has the more standard warnings, European warning sticker that we're used to. But I personally had not seen this kind of warning sticker before. So for those of you who are experts out there, I'd love for you to chime in, especially like Boss Bounty, folks like that who... Oh, hey, but that reminds me, I wanted to say, I'm sure that most of you in the vintage collection community or just the Star Wars community in general are aware about Boss Bounty's kind of, family. I don't want to dig into personal details, but I just wanted to make sure that, if for some reason he does have time to watch this, I consider Boss Bounty to be a great friend. And I hope that he and his family are doing well. They've had some kind of medical issues, medical emergency type stuff, and it's never fun to have to go through that with kids. And it's never fun to have to go through that, during the holidays. So I just want to make sure to wish, a safe and happy recovery to Boss family member. And, my thoughts are with you. And if there's ever anything I can do, please let me know. So sorry for that interlude, but it's something I probably should have said at the beginning of the video. But anyway, for those like Boss Bounty, Only One Kenobi, any of you guys over in Europe, Blacked Out Ewoks, I would love to know about this sticker because I personally had never seen it before. I just thought it was a really interesting sticker. But anyway, that one sold for $101. That was the Cathaba VC56 with the brown bandana. And, I would assume that it had warning labels over top or blacked out stickers over top of these warning labels on the front, which is standard for the European cards or European releases. But this one did not have it, so I don't know if that were taken off or what. But it was just an interesting sticker on the back and one I hadn't seen before, so I thought I'd point that out. Again, VC64 Princess Leia in her slave outfit continues to kind of defy the general consensus that the vintage collection is flattening in price. Another one sold this past week for $300 even, ungraded. It looked to be in pretty nice shape overall, probably 85 or 85 plus grade. That same seller is one I pointed out before. He's actually really close to me, a few hours away, but had three of them. All three of them sold for $300 even. This seller, I didn't pull up all of this seller's auctions, but this kind of, again, supports the premise that even for ones that are in really good shape, TVC 1.0 have really dropped dramatically in price. This was VC 74, the Gungan Warrior. We've seen this very regularly hit $100 in the past. And this one was in great condition, unpunched. And, maybe a little card curl, but that's something that can straighten out inside a star case. That was sold for $40. $40, that's a 60% drop, over a 60% drop versus where we've seen this figure sell recently. That same seller also had this one. Now, this one did have a crease on it, VC100 Starkiller. So that had a crease on the top there. So that one sold for $132.50. That's about half what, usually like a really near mint example can go for like $200 to $250. This one had a pretty bad crease, as you can see right here. So that one sold for $132.50. So I think that one was probably fair. I mean, given how expensive they normally are for a near mint. The same seller had this one, the U.S. card for Ahsoka. That one sold for $382, and that seems to be, after the Ahsoka was announced that the reissue was happening. We talked about how the prices were dropping. It seems to have settled out. It seems to have settled out now, and the new price point is where it was probably about a year and a half ago, where I picked up my ungraded example for. I think I paid $313 for an ungraded, unpunched Canadian. And now they're going for about that, but anywhere from $300 to $350, depending on the card, whether it's punched or unpunched. This one wasn't perfect. It had a little ding, a pretty sizable ding, really, right near the warning label up top. So $382, I think, is a pretty healthy number for that, given that we've seen some sell for quite a bit less than that recently. But N Numb, this is another one that has been $100 plus very regularly, and that one has now, back down to $70. So again, there's a number of factors involved, right, guys? We've got the holidays, so their budgets are tight. I know I'm spending less. I'm spending less this month because I've got, gifts to give, and that's where I want to spend my money. So you got the holidays. I think you've got just maybe fatigue with pre-orders, like we talked about, and then the risk of reissue. And if there's a figure that's going to get reissued, N Numb is probably a good one for the anniversary coming up for the Return of the Jedi. We've already got the Luke Jedi and some of the other big figures, Bib Fortuna. So with Return of the Jedi coming out, you know, the anniversary coming up, that seems like a pretty good one to potentially get reissued. Maybe not. I don't know. We got Weequay, VC 107. That's another one that's kind of probably a good fit for a reissue. This price was actually pretty strong. I feel like 131. We've seen that one bump down to 130, or excuse me, to $100 here recently. But yeah, and this one even had some kind of edge wear in the upper left hand corner by the VC 107. So 131 I think is a healthy number for that one. This is one where I feel like the price was not healthy. I mean, I think this is a pretty good price for an unpunched Republic Trooper. Now, this was the U.S. card, and I wanted to also show you, and that one sold for $122.50, but I wanted to show you this one as well. This was a European release, and this is the sticker that I'm used to, and this one actually looks like it's got two stickers. If you look right, well, this isn't a great angle, but if you look right there in that upper corner, it looks like it's got two blacked out stickers, you know, in the upper corner there. So that's interesting. But this is the European release, and this is the warning label, multi-language label that I'm used to for these releases. And again, this is VC 113 versus that Cathaba, which was VC 56. So just a totally different warning label, and I just thought that was worth pointing out. But anyway, so that the U.S. card sold for $122.50. The Old Republic Trooper over in this was sold over in the United Kingdom. It was 120 Great British pounds, but I think he took closer to 100, if memory serves me right. I got the offer and I really wanted to buy it, but I didn't do it. But anyway, Republic Trooper, that gives you a pretty good price range for that figure, despite the new issue that's coming out next year. It's just, if you want that original one, there's a couple examples, both the U.S. and the Eurozone card. Again, this same seller that we've talked about, again, I think this data again supports the notion that TVC 1.0 has, or I don't know if 114 is that really 1.0? I guess it is. I don't know. Yeah, this is a 1.0, and yeah, 2012. So this is a later one. This one was the U.S. card and Printface, and $61. I mean, we've seen this one hit 100, 110, 120, and you know, to get it for half that now, that's a big price drop. I think the big telling sign will be next year. You know, as we get through the holidays, what do sales in January, February, March look like? And if they stay around this price point, where, you know, like a 30 to 40% drop versus the peaks, then I think we have a good enough data set over a long enough time period to say, okay, the vintage collection's really pulled back quite a bit. But you know, by then also all the pre-sales that we've been dealing with, all the new releases, you know, hopefully that's, you know, the aftershocks on our wallets for that have kind of receded. So, you know, maybe we'll start seeing them tick back up again. So I think if you got money right now and you have some deep pockets, now's a pretty good time to be picking up some 1.0. It just seems like the prices are pretty low. Darth Vader Emperor's Wrath. This seller had two. One did sell at $220, and again, that's a little bit higher than where we've seen. I think the last video we saw one in the mid 150 range, if memory serves, maybe 170. So $220 for that one is a little higher, but it was also in pretty excellent condition, unpunched. So another data point there for VC 115 if you're still looking for that one. All right, so before we get into some graded vintage collection, and we've got a pretty wide assortment, and the prices were pretty surprising. I do have also a 501st Legion ARC Troopers 3-pack. Another data point here for those of you, you know, again, consistently, it's usually been about 175. This one I thought was in great condition overall. It had a little bit of curl to it, but kind of tough to tell with the sideways photo. But in general, it looked to be in pretty clean condition. That one sold for $130 plus $5 shipping. That was a pretty good deal in my opinion. Now, digging into some of the graded vintage collection, this is Dr. Aphra VC 129. As a side note, for any of you that happen to see the European version without this warning label in there and you're not going to buy it for yourself, can you please message me? I really want to get that European version that does not have that warning label. It's just a black spot there. Hard to find though, really hard to find that one. But anyway, this one was an archival case, AFA 8.5, so not particularly super high grade. That one sold for $100 plus shipping. I thought that was or free shipping. I thought that was a pretty good deal. Pretty good deal for that, for the Dr. Aphra. And on the other end of the spectrum, we're going to dig into a few that had kind of a head scratcher. I thought this was a fair deal, though. This one was CAS 85 grade weak way, unpunched. The subgrades were 85, 85, 90. That one sold for $125 plus $10 shipping from that same seller that had the foil Ultimate Galactic Hunt. I thought that was a great price, really. This one confused me, though. This one was a CAS 70 plus Grand Moff Tarkin, and it sold for $171. I mean, that just, I don't know. I mean, to me, that seems really high for a 70 grade. You can pay about that same amount for an ungraded example and get it, and get it graded and get like an 85, 85 plus, or a 90. I just think that paying that much for a 70, I mean, I thought this one was going to sell for, well, I think they had a starting bid price of like 150 or more, but to me, this is not worth even $100. I mean, maybe $125 at the most, but to me, I wouldn't pay $171.50 plus another $16 shipping for that for a 70 plus grade. You're better off buying one ungraded and getting it graded yourself, because that's pretty high to me. Now here's the other head scratcher. This one was a CAS 90 VC 100 Starkiller, and a beautiful example. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not trying to say it's not pretty, but you can get an ungraded example. Like we just talked about, one that I think was in pretty similar condition. Now this was the one that was messed up. So this one sold for $132.50. But we've talked about ones, that have sold here recently that were pretty mint for $200 to $250, and to pay $490 for this one plus shipping. I mean, you're over $500 on that. I just think that you could probably, if you had a careful eye and you're patient, you could easily, and you're willing to deal with the turnaround times. That's the other problem. That's part of it too. I mean, there's some collectors that just don't want to deal with getting their own stuff graded. I understand that, but $500 seemed really high to me for that. But I'm not complaining because I have one, but that just seems like a really high number for a Starkiller that you could probably pick up $200 to $250 and get graded yourself. But I get it, though. I mean, there's a lot of people that just don't want to deal with it. Now, here's the other one that was kind of confusing me, Shea Vizzle. This was a CAS 90, $540. I don't know if that's necessarily high, but the issue is we've had two or three of these now that were either AFA or CAS graded that have sold in the last month, and they've all been between $300 to $350, almost consistently $300 to $350. This one sold for $540, so that was a big jump in my opinion, and it might be timing too. A lot of these auctions that end on Sunday nights, they tend to do better, just because there's more people looking. But I mean, I know I've seen some AFA, both uncirculated or circulated 90s sell in that $300 to $350 range, maybe into the low fours, but $540 plus shipping was a high number to me. But don't get me wrong, it was really nice. It was a beautiful example. Here was another one that seemed pretty high to me. This one was an uncirculated 9.0 rocket firing FET. We've seen this one consistently sell in the threes, so that was confusing to me as well. This seller had two of them. One of them has sold, one of them still available, but $550 is what one of them sold for. Let's dig into a few others before we wrap up. This one was the VC 000 Sail Barge Pack-In Yak Face. That one sold for $400. That seems to be kind of the going rate right now for a pretty good example of the Yak Face. Again, be careful on this one because a lot of them do have damage from being packed. I can't tell if this one had the the kind of indentation on the front of the card. There's kind of a curved indentation that shows up from the packing job, but I don't know, or it might be a manufacturing process. I can't remember. I've heard from a number of you guys about that. But anyway, that one sold for $400, but just be aware that there is either a manufacturing defect or a packing defect on that one. Let's finish up with a couple of recent releases. I do love the fact, props to Hasbro for shipping this Bad Batch 4-pack inside one of these white shipper boxes. So it keeps it in really good condition. So that is exciting news there. I'm definitely going to get one of these. And I love the card art on that is amazing. Really, really nice. That one sold for $120 plus shipping. This is over in the UK, but it seems to be the kind of going rate right now. But those should be hitting eBay here very shortly because they're starting to ship to consumers. But I really like the fact that they took the time to include a shipper box on that one. And then finally, we're already starting to see pre-sales for the Mandalorian and Grogu for Maldocrease, the kind of deluxe edition with the spiders that are included. Those are now going for about $56. 4 of these have sold. 2 of them are still available. 10 watchers. So shipping those $35. This is coming from Malaysia. Excuse me. This one's coming from Malaysia, and these are ready to ship in hand. So, you know, these are not pre-orders. These are, you know, overseas sellers that have them in hand, but that's what people are willing to pay right now. They're paying, you know, about $90 shipped for this deluxe. That's going to go for quite a bit less than that once they hit store shelves. But for whatever reason, folks are willing to pay it. So that's kind of the going rate right now. If you're impatient, you don't want to wait for those to get here. But how cool do they look? They look absolutely gorgeous, and I can't wait to get my hands on one. So anyway, just some more market data there. Sorry the video ran a little bit long, but again, thank you to all my Patreon supporters. Thanks again to Darth Outlaw and to Charles for joining the Patreon ranks. To my existing subscribers, thanks so much for watching. I'd love to hear if you guys are shopping right now. I'm not, but if any of you are shopping right now, please leave a comment with what you've picked up here recently. Thanks again, and I'll be back soon.